Could you please hurry up?" Ashley urged her royal tailor while tapping her feet on the ground. As the noblest princess of Averna, Ashley was going to marry Prince Philip tomorrow, the dream husband of countless girls. She still remembered how happy and excited she was when Philip proposed to her before others' envy sights. They were in a relationship for many years, and this was her dream moment. Yet somehow, Ashley only felt restless now. "Yes, Your Royal Highness," the royal tailor said with a smile that was not reaching her eyes. "We are trying our best to fix the dress to your liking. I have been standing here for almost 3 hours while you fix your mistakes. Hurry up," Ashley said her words with gritted teeth. Only God knows how hard she was holding back her tongue not to whisper a spell that would turn the tailor and her helpers into toads. As the royal blood, she was also a powerful witch. However, people in the royal palace were more afraid of her than respectful. It was said that she had inherited the terrifying power from her Dark Lord grandpa. If not controlled, it could be very dangerous. "Ashley!" A familiar voice finally brought the annoyed princess a smile. It was her best friend, and perhaps the only friend, Helen. "Helen, you are finally here. Oh, thank goodness." Ashley was practically shouting her words. "Look what a mess is happening on my dress, and my wedding is tomorrow. Could you believe this? It will be done soon. Tomorrow is your wedding and your birthday. It would be the happiest day of your life." Holding Ashley's hand, Helen answered. Her voice was so soft that no one could notice the weird light flashed in her eyes. "It is done, Your Royal Highness." At that time, the royal tailor stood up and sighed in relief. Ashley waved them off and became busy checking her image in the mirror. The wedding dress was looking much better with the sparkles added on her long skirt. "I just can't believe it. I'm really marrying Philip." Ashley smiled, but it soon froze as that restless feeling flooded her heart again. She turned to ask Helen, "Do you think we are rushing into this marriage?" "Don't be too stressed." Helen just smiled while handing her a glass of water. "Here, drink some water." As always, Helen treated her with care and attentiveness. Ashley felt lucky to have such a nice friend. They grew up together and became closer like sisters, especially after the death of Helen's parents several years ago. Tomorrow, as the maid of honor by her side, Helen would witness the happiest moment of her life. And Ashley had already made a decision that she would pass her bride's bouquet to Helen directly after the wedding. Only Helen deserved her blessing. However, while nearing the glass to her lips, Ashley suddenly sensed something was not right. The water smelled a little different. "What's the matter?" Helen asked softly. Looking at her innocent face, Ashley was in a trance for a moment. "Nothing." Ashley pretended to drink the water and stood up to walk to the inside room. "I'd better change first." As soon as the door was closed, Ashley got a cup to spit out the water and strengthened her ears to catch the movement outside. "She drank it," Helen whispered, as if she was talking secretly on the phone with someone, and her next words made Ashley gasp. "Once she falls asleep, I'll let you in." Helen chuckled wickedly. "Don't forget the video camera. Tomorrow, let's treat all the guests with the lustful video of our noblest princess of Averna." Ashley couldn't believe her ears. Was the woman outside there, who was planning to humiliate her in the most nasty way, really her best friend Helen? For all the past years, she treated Helen almost like her own sister, even though she also felt upset when Helen stole more attention than her from her parent. She controlled her temper and power in order not to hurt Helen, because she wished that they could be friends for life. But now, Helen betrayed their friendship. Why? What went wrong between them? Ashley wondered while tears collecting in her eyes, and soon she gasped to hear Helen's next words. "I hate her." Helen continued with gritted teeth. "Philip was supposed to be mine, and so was the title of the princess. I am the one who met Philip first, and I am the most liked and respected lady in Averna. Ashley, that bad-tempered witch, only knows to cause troubles, doesn't match Philip at all. No one liked her, even not including her parents. I bet tomorrow, as long as she loses her control in public to see her own sex video, everyone will abandon her for being the shame of the royal." Every vicious word that Helen spoke was like a sharp knife piercing Ashley's heart. No matter the happiness or sorrows, Ashley would always share them with Helen at the first time. And to save Helen from being bullied, so many times Ashley used her witchcraft, even if it only brought her more blame and fearful glances and heavier punishment from parents. She once thought Helen would be the person who understood her for the best. Yet it all turned out to be lies. Before the most important moment of her life, her so-called best friend was going to ruin her. A mocking smile curled on her face. Ashley wiped out tears and raised her head. She won't let Helen get away with it. Pushing her way out of the inside room, Ashley's presence made Helen gasp and dropped her handphone on the floor. Surprised, huh? Were you expecting me to fall on the floor? Unconscious? So you could take the chance to humiliate me? Ashley said loudly while walking fast towards the scared-looking Helen. Drug her? Planning to ruin her pride? She would let this bitch taste it first. Grabbing the glass of water with the remaining content, Ashley forced Helen to drink it, which had made Helen cough loudly. Ashley, please stop. What are you doing? Helen begged in a panic, shaking her head while crying pitifully. What a great actress she was. For a moment, Ashley hoped what she heard was wrong. She didn't want to believe that her angelic friend was actually a devil. What is going on there? All of a sudden, there came the voice of Ashley's fiancé, Philip, who sounded was nearing her room. Ashley, please stop. I'm so sorry for spilling the water on your dress. Helen was on her knees as if she was begging for Ashley's mercy. Just as Philip came in, Helen caressed her own cheeks as if Ashley had slapped her very hard. Ashley, what did you do? Philip went down to help Helen to stand up, wrapping Helen's small body with his arms. No, Philip, it was an accident. Helen sniffled her tears and smiled weakly at Ashley. She did not mean to slap me. Ashley was just too stressed. I'm sure Ashley did not mean it to slap me. Ashley gasped loudly and opened her mouth to breathe. She never expected that Helen could be so shameless. How dare she play tricks just before her? Closing her eyes, Ashley felt anger burning in her chest. When she opened her eyes again, a hint of red circles was forming in her blue eyes. Get your hands off her, Philip. She is lying. Ashley, honey, don't do this. Calm down. Philip let go of Helen gently and walked towards Ashley to calm her down. Ashley's powers were getting out of control. If not handled properly, she would burn the whole room to ashes. She had done it before and became well known for burning things out of anger. Let go of me, Philip. Helen is lying. She was trying to drug me with that water. She was planning to take that chance to ruin me. Ashley explained furiously while pointing her finger at Helen. What are you saying? Ashley, I'm your best friend. I would never hurt you. Helen acted so sincerely and pitifully that Philip couldn't help frowning. Honey, I'm sure this was all a misunderstanding. This is Helen, your best friend. Philip said. Stop it, Philip. Why can't you believe me? I'm going to be your wife. You are supposed to be on my side. Ashley said and pushed Philip's hand away when he tried to touch her. What is going on? Why are you shouting, Ashley? The sound of her father made them all turn to look at the door. The moment she saw her parents, Ashley felt at ease a little bit. Finally, she got someone that would hear her words. Yet unexpectedly, her mother walked towards Helen to soothe her heavy tears. Ashley accused me of trying to drug her. I would never do such bad things to her. Please believe me, Uncle Ashton, Helen said while sobbing, making Ashley more like the bad person in the room. Anger and grievance broke out in Ashley's heart. She just wanted to burn Helen's hypocritical face at once. Oh, you lying piece of garbage! Ashley raised her hand towards Helen, yet Philip caught her wrist and pushed her to the floor. Stop this, Ashley. Philip looked at her disapprovingly. You are out of control now. Philip, you pushed me? Freezing on the floor, Ashley asked with a disappointed voice. Her eyes stared at Philip, who was checking Helen's condition worriedly. Why did her fiancé seem to care about Helen more than her? Ashley, stand up. This is just a misunderstanding. Ashton, her father demanded coldly, it is your wedding tomorrow. Behave like a princess. Ashley looked at her father in disbelief. When did he become so indifferent to her? Why did they all choose to believe Helen rather than her? As disappointment and bitterness overwhelmed her heart, Ashley stepped away from her father and said with gritted teeth, Why would I marry a man who does not even trust me? Ashley, what are you saying? Ashton asked and frowned while Philip looked at Ashley with a confused face. Yet now, Ashley didn't want to care about their feelings anymore. Why should she walk into a marriage that lacked of some basic trust? Why should she try so hard to restrain her power just to satisfy those miserly listeners to her? This is not who she is. I can't do this. Standing up slowly, Ashley removed her huge diamond engagement ring and threw it at Philip. Before they could react, she casted a spell to make them all faint on the floor. Then she walked away from the room with red flashing in her eyes. It was not easy to walk away from the palace she called home without being followed. However, Ashley could always succeed as long as she wanted. She was driving madly in a tinted Porsche, a classic limited edition, which was also her father's favorite. Ashley could imagine how terrific the look of her father would be when the car was found to be gone. But they should know more, that she was hurting more. She still couldn't understand why all of a sudden her world turned upside down. She was supposed to be the happiest bride-to-be, yet now turned out to be a stray dog with her broken heart. Tears fell down her cheeks, making her vision blurry. Something felt strange, that her head was getting heavier and her eyelids were slowly shutting down. "Oh, Helen, you did drug me, you little butch," Ashley whispered to herself with a laugh. "But you got the wrong timing to knock me down. Have you forgotten that I am a witch? You needed more drugs to knock me down that fast." After not being able to see the road clearly, Ashley stopped at an unknown building that looked like a roadside hotel. She thought of getting a room to stay and clear her head for the night. A warm shower would be good to have in the cold weather. Getting some cash from the car, she walked towards the hotel lobby. The drug kicking in her head made her walk to the hotel seem difficult. At times, she would slip down to the ground or balance her body to the nearest tree. "Get up, Ashley. Come on, you can do this." She tried to cheer herself up before her body fell on some stranger who was much stronger than her. "Get off me," Ashley shouted and pushed the stranger away from her. Her hands were in the air, trying to balance her body to walk straight. Her eyelids were getting heavier, with her body suddenly getting warmer. What drug did Helen put in the water? Ashley thought before she fell again on the man's chest. He had a scent that was alluring and masculine. It was to her liking. Ashley looked up to see his face, but her sight was blurry to see his face clearly. "Who are you?" Before more words could escape from her mouth, she felt his lips on hers, and he whispered some words that confused her more. "Mate, mine." As the ray of morning sunshine seeped through the window of the room, Ashley smiled while cuddling her own body beneath the soft comfort of the warm blanket. Her mind was going back to the day Philip proposed marriage to her, although many thought they were a bad match. But then she recalled something that made her open her eyes slowly. "Today is my wedding day." Looking around the unfamiliar room she was in, Ashley gasped. Moving her body slowly, she whispered to herself, "Where the fuck am I?" Lifting the soft, silky covers on her body, she gasped again, seeing herself without any piece of clothes on her body. Her head started to pound from the inside as she tried to recall what happened. Then she saw a ring on her finger. "That's not my engagement ring," she thought, and stared at the gold ring carved with a symbol she was not familiar with. "Damn, it is stuck," she thought while trying to remove the ring, but failed to do so. A few seconds later, a memory came in. One by one, tears fell on her cheeks as she realized what kind of a mess she was into. Ashley could never imagine she would give her virginity to another man than Philip, a complete stranger she had randomly met. Although, for some unknown reasons, she felt a connection with the man, Ashley still blamed it on the drug. The drug Helen put on her, which totally ruined her life. Ashley was going to make sure Helen would pay for what she had done to her. But first, she needed to go home and find Philip, confessing to him what happened to her. After wearing her slightly torn dress, she whispered a spell to ease the pain she was feeling on her body. Tiptoeing quietly with her heels raised, Ashley whispered another spell and blew her one breath around the room. It was a spell to remove any trace of her ever being there. Nothing should be evidence that she had ever been here and lost her virginity to a stranger on her wedding day. On the way back to the palace, a lot of plans were playing in her head. She was determined to reveal Helen's true colors to everyone. Walking towards Helen's room, she formed a fire in her palm and opened the door. "Where the fuck are you, you lying butch?" "Ashley!" The voices she heard came from both Helen and Philip. Ashley froze while staring at the scene in front of her. It was her worst nightmare. She wished she had a spell that could stop it from happening, but there was none. "Ashley, I can explain." Philip got up from Helen's bed, wearing his pants matched with an unbuttoned shirt. He did not even realize Helen's red lipstick was still on his cheeks. Standing behind Philip, Ashley could see a smirk was forming at Helen's face. It made Ashley hate her more by the second. "I do not mean to hurt you, Ashley. I'm sorry. After you left me, it made me consider our marriage again. We are still too young, and last night I realized that I was truly in love with Helen and—" A slap came across Philip's cheeks before he could finish his sentence. Tears watering her eyes, Ashley already knew what he was going to say next. She did not want to hear any more of his hurtful words. "Why, Philip? Am I not good enough for you?" She couldn't help questioning. "I'm so sorry, Ashley. We are sorry. It just happened." Helen sniffled her fake tears. "Your parents also agreed Philip to marry me." Shivering in anger and humiliation, Ashley was trying her best not to cry, or even worse, burst into flames. Yet Philip rubbed his cheeks and a wicked smile was forming on his face. "You dare slap my face, Ashley? Do you know who I am? I'm the Crown Prince of Dracor. I can't have a wife who does not respect me. Helen is a better choice to be my wife." How could he say such things to hurt her? He had promised only to love her, and today was supposed to be her birthday and their wedding day. "Is it your true words?" Ashley sobbed her tears, which made Philip pause looking at her. It was the first time he saw her in tears. For a moment, he felt a little pity for her, but when Helen held his hand, he regained his coldness. "You can't force love, Ashley. You can't put a spell on it either. That's bad magic." Helen's words made Ashley stop crying, and her eyes turned shades of red with fury. "Shut up. Stop pretending to be this nice person who you are not." Ashley raised her hand, intending to throw fire at Helen, but before the fire in her palm escaped in the air, a warm hand landed on her cheek. Slap. "Calm down, Ashley. Control your powers." It was her father, but Ashley only felt painful to hear. "Calm down and suppress your powers. Now." It was like poison to her ears. Why could father slap her when Helen was at fault? Why was he even angry at her when it was Helen and Philip who betrayed her? Her anger grew higher and higher, with blood tears falling down her cheeks. "How could you do this to me? I would never forgive you, both of you, all of you. Now I finally know, you were never happy to have me as your daughter. You think I am cursed, so you even sent me away to Yenzen when I was just a little girl." She giggled wildly while tears bursting more. "Maybe you wish for Helen to be your daughter instead of me. Fine, I'll make your wish come true." Turning away to exit Helen's room, she looked at her parents facelessly. "Ashley, please, don't say that." Her mother tried to approach her, but Ashley moved back and shook her head. "Ashley is dead. Your daughter is dead. I have enough of this. Bsht. Today was supposed to be my happy day, but you gave it to Helen. How ironic." Ashley then looked at Helen one more time. "I'm going to make you pay for this. Everyone will know what a manipulative bitch you are, Helen." Ashley's mother, Annabella, was in tears. Annabella shouted as she sensed what her daughter was going to do next. "Ashley, no!" Freezing everyone that tried to stop her from leaving the palace, Ashley removed a bracelet from her hand. It was used to control her powers that would lead her to be darker and stronger. Throwing the protective bracelet down on the floor, Ashley smiled at her parents. "Now, you watch what you see in me unleash. Since you never believed in me trying to be good, I will show you what you want to see in me." Raising her hand in the air, Ashley burnt parts of the palace with fireballs from her hand before she left the place that she once called home. That day, she left everything. But not long later, something would bring her back to the past. A past with the man named Nikolai, Nikolai's POV. No deal. I will not submit to their demands. I hung up the call after hearing what my enemies wanted in return for peace for my people. I threw my handphone towards my bodyguard Drake and ran my hand across my hair in frustration. If it is war that they want, we will give them that. Drake chuckled and raised his hands in the air, showing defeat. "Oh, mighty Alpha Nikolai, The feared alpha from the north, not even the queen of the supernatural beings, would want to start a war with you. Sensing Drake mocking me, I threw the cigarette on my fingers towards him that almost burnt his sweater. Mock me again. I'll throw your skinny self out from this balcony. Go get some fresh clothes and food for my woman. Make sure she is comfortable and well protected. I will clear this with the Queen of Averna myself. If it is not for Drake's experience in war and good fighting skills, I would not have hired him to be my bodyguard. A tall and skinny man, but fast as lightning. The fastest wolf I have ever met in my life. But he was probably the only wolf that dared to mock me at his will. I had no idea why I kept him by my side all these years. Annoying prick. Your wish is my command, most feared alpha in the realm. I would take good care of your precious pretty witch. Drake sang his words with his hands in the air and snorted with a short laugh. What is so funny? Do you want to die today, Drake? I could not believe my second in command. Beta Ivan recommended Drake to be my bodyguard and temporary assistant. I should cut his tongue out one day. I have never seen you in love with a woman before. A human. Drake rubbed his chin and smiled. No, not human. Worst thing, a witch. Don't you think she looks familiar? Not many women here in Averna have that kind of red hair. What is her name again? Ashley. Stop talking and get some food for us. Get lost, Drake. I pushed him towards the balcony door to get back in the room. Seeing the bed empty in my room, my body froze with my eyes looking around and my nose sniffing to find her scent. Where the fuck is she? Go find her. Drake nodded and walked around the room swiftly. He checked the room and the bathroom to look for her. Under the bed, behind the curtains, in the wardrobe, she was not there. He then exited the room to check around my penthouse. I knew she was gone. I could not sense her presence in the penthouse any longer. Where are you, pretty one? My wolf Blake was manic now after he sensed my mate was missing. I told you to mark her. You should have chained her to the bed. How can you be so careless? It is all your fault. Blake was blaming me nonstop in my head. It was annoying and was making me lose control of my mind to think. Shut up! For a moment, Blake was in silence. Peace at last. So why did you not mark her? Did she put a spell on you to make you stupid? I rolled my eyes and growled. The peaceful moment lasted just for a few seconds before Blake started asking me tons of questions. I had to respect Ashley. She is a human, which means she could not reject us after being marked. I explained to my wolf, who knew that but was too stubborn to accept it. Nikolai, I refused to believe our mate would reject us. I felt the connection. It was strong. Blake said and was pushing himself out to take over my body. I closed my eyes and pushed him back to reject myself to turn into my wolf form. Stop it, Blake. We will find her. She may have used a spell to cover up traces of her presence, but we now know what she looked like. We know her name. How difficult would it be to locate her? I said while walking around my room to find out if she had left any of her belongings behind. But there was none. She was thorough. Before I left the room to find Drake, my hand phone rang. It was a call from my mother. Mama, this is not a good time to call. I'm busy. Son, you need to come home. Pamela is here waiting for you. You do remember her, right? She has grown to be such a strong and beautiful woman. A strong wolf in her would make her such a good candidate to be your wife. My mother went on, trying to convince me to come home to meet her choice of woman for me to marry. I scoffed at that idea. Pamela might be a strong and beautiful woman that my wolf pack would definitely agree for me to take her as my Luna, but I had no feelings for her. No connection at all. I have found my mate. I cut my mother short, followed by a moment of silence from both sides. Then I could hear her shouting of excitement, followed by several cheers and hands clapping coming from other voices. Did she put me on the speakerphone? Who else was there with her? I sighed with annoyance. Oh, my lovely son, we are so happy to hear this. Your Uncle Igor and his family are here too, waiting for you to come home. I can't wait to meet your mate. Tell me all about her. My mother was the sweetest woman I have ever met. Many in the past did not agree for my strong father to mate with a weak wolf woman like her. But my father was obsessed with my mother's beauty. Love at first sight, they said. Is that what I was feeling with Ashley? Ashley was indeed beautiful, and I could sense her to be a strong woman. Was she really a witch? For a moment, my heart was beating faster than usual. Sweat was forming on my forehead. Would my family accept Ashley? A witch as my Luna. When my father, the great Vlad Wolfgard, passed away, my mother only had me to depend on. So did my father's wolf pack. A great responsibility that I had to carry for several years. Many wars fought for me to uphold the Wolfgard name to its glory again, against other wolf packs in the realm. Many deaths and bloodshed, I was undefeated and feared. They called me the Dark Alpha, and now I must find my mate. For if my enemies got to her first, I was not sure if she could survive the attack. I hung up the call with my mother without saying goodbye and walked out of my room. Shouting in anger, I gave my command to my men: find her, at all costs. Protect her. Ashley's POV. 5 years later, I had never been so nervous seated in the plane. It was not due to the slight turbulence or even due to passengers around me in the business class looking at me as if they knew me. Those feelings were nothing as compared to what I was going to go through for the next couple of days. Of course, I could fix my feelings with a simple spell. A simple spell? I smiled to myself. For the past 5 years, I have been practicing my magic so much more than just using spells. I studied all that needed to be known to be a witch that was going to be at least as powerful as the Queen of Averna. My grandmother, the one they called the Queen of the Paranormal Beings. I wanted to be stronger than her so she could never control my life. I scoffed at that. Family was supposed to protect their children, but my family pretty much feared me, and I guessed they wished I was never born. Looking at the little boy seated next to me, I smiled. He was such a handsome and strong boy. My boy. I will not let anything happen to him. He was all I have that I could call family. "Mommy, why are you looking at me like that?" he asked and held my hand with his little fingers. Moving his head closer to me, he whispered, "Are you afraid of flying?" I let out a small laugh and held his hand tight. "With you by my side, Teddy, I'm not afraid of anything." He nodded and smiled at me with his dimples showing. "Don't worry, Mommy. I'm a big boy now. I'll protect you." Big boy, huh? I kissed his hands and tucked him in his seat with his blanket and favorite teddy bear, which he named it Kiko. Sometimes I could hear him talk to Kiko. Recalling what happened 5 years ago, I sighed to myself. I went abroad soon after that unforgettable night with a man that took my virginity, a night that got me pregnant unexpectedly. I could recall the thoughts I had in the past to abort my baby. At the age of 20 back then, I was not ready to be a mother, especially when I was alone, living in a city far away from my home in Averna, leaving everything I had to start a new life, a life free from chains and control by my family. Fate brought me to meet a kind doctor who had convinced me to keep my baby. It was said to be most likely my only chance to have one. I had complications. I was in pain, 9 months of agony and uncertainty, but it was all worth it. Teddy was born to the world, perfectly. He gave me a purpose to live this cruel life that seemed to hate me so much. I had never regretted giving birth to Teddy. He was the best gift that God had given me in my life, my little protector. "Mommy, you are looking at me in a weird way again." Teddy whispered at me and giggled after I pinched his nose. He looked so much like his father, although I'm starting to forget what he looked like. I only remembered his name to be Nikolai. It was indeed 5 years ago since I last met him. He never looked for me. Well, if he did, he surely sucked at it. Or perhaps I had disguised myself to be someone else so perfectly that no one could locate me for the past 5 years I went missing. "Here's the juice that you requested, Miss Winters." The stewardess came to place a glass of orange juice. I thanked her and drank it slowly while looking at my baby boy sleeping by my side. Teddy Winters. That was a name I gave to him after I changed my name to Tiana Winters. For 5 years I hid at a little place called Mystic Town, dyed my hair black, and even learnt how to speak their language. That was a piece of cake to do. What was difficult was living with the legendary witch named Lorraine Winters, a person who was once a friend of my grandmother, Queen Anastasia Regis of Averna. Not just any friend, Lorraine Winters was her teacher. I did not know why I called her for help. Perhaps I thought back then staying with our family's enemy would hurt my parents. It turned out to be the best decision I made. It was all thanks to Finley Regalia, a friend I had when I studied designing clothes back in Averna. He lived in Mystic Town himself, a werewolf and son of an alpha from the Regalia wolf pack. That one call I made to Finley got me to Mystic Town, where I then met Lorraine Winters, a witch that was said to be more than 100 years old. I could not believe my eyes when I saw how young she looked. "Mommy, why do we need to move to another country?" Teddy whispered to me with a sad face forming. He liked living in Mystic Town, where he already made several friends. "No, baby boy, we are not moving there permanently. My new job at Echo Group requires me to move there just for a couple of days. Remember my friend Finley? You will be staying with him for a couple of days while I sort out important work matters. It won't be long. Can you do that for Mommy?" I kissed my son's head and caressed his cheeks. He was pouting his lips and sighed once. "Will you be safe there without me? How can I protect you if we are not together, Mommy?" He looked at me with his blue round eyes, sparkled with a hint of tears coming. "My baby boy, I'll be fine. You need to promise me you will not cause any trouble with Finley." I smiled, seeing Teddy nodded his head. Where I was going next was a destination that I had not been for the past 5 years, a place where my past would haunt me. A few hours later, I heard the stewardess announcing the plane was going to land shortly. "Welcome to Averna International Airport." Being back at Averna again made my heart beat faster. I had many plans forming in my head, and I was going to take back what was supposed to be mine. I'm coming home, bitches. The thought of seeing Helen again made me smile. Wickedly, Ashley's POV. At the airport, I waved my hand to Finley, who was already waiting for us at the entrance. Teddy ran towards Finley and gave him a hug. I smiled seeing them embrace each other. Teddy never knew who his father was, and I was glad Finley could feel that void of a father figure in Teddy's life. My true friend, which I came to like over the past years, I got to know him. "Hey, beautiful." He kissed my cheeks lightly and carried Teddy in his arms. "So, are you ready to face your fears?" I laughed at that and placed my sunglasses to cover my eyes. I'm afraid of no one. They should fear me. Finley chuckled and walked next to me with his assistant helping me to push my luggage trolley. "Don't worry, buddy. We will have so much fun together." Teddy nodded his head and seemed to like the idea of living with Finley for a few days. I was glad they got along so well. At the entrance of a car with a driver waiting for me, I turned to face my son and gave him a tight hug. He whispered in my ears, "Take care, Mommy. Call me." His words made both my heart and Finley's heart melt. Teddy was such an adorable boy, and I would not let anything happen to him. "You take care of yourself, my little man. Listen to Finley while I'm gone. I love you." "Love you more, Mommy." Hearing him whisper those words made me sad to leave him for a few days. I was going to miss him very much, but Mommy got to work and build an empire on her own. I did all that for my son's future. It would all be his one day. I did not need the help of my family to get me to where I was in Echo Group. I then said my goodbyes and entered the car. The driver would take me to an event where I had to represent Echo Group as a designer. Tiana Winters was already a name known in the fashion industry. I worked hard for it, and I was not going to stop to get what I wanted for my career that I loved. On the way to the event's location, the car stopped in the middle of the traffic that was slowly building up. I sat back and drank from a bottle of water. My eyes then looked around Averna City that had not changed much since I left it. My eyes stopped on an image flashing on the city screen. A live interview was shown on the screen with the interviewer talking to a couple. The man looked familiar. Those light brown eyes, those dimples, those lips. I gasped and closed my mouth with my hand. Is that him? Who are they? I mean, the couple on the screen. Do you know them? I asked the driver while pointing my finger at the big screen on the side of the road. You don't know them? They are quite popular here in Averna, especially when Miss Pamela was originally from Averna before she moved to Purple Mountain. The man next to her is Nikolai Wolfgard, the man that is rumored to be the next Alpha King. The hostess is probably asking them about their relationship. Rumors had it that they are getting engaged. Maybe that was what the interview was about. The driver then turned the car to the left to enter the hotel where the event was going to take place. My eyes were still on the city screen, showing Nikolai smiling without saying anything. He already had a girlfriend. Perhaps that was why he did not bother to look for me. I suppressed the inexplicable bitterness in my heart and gave myself a smile. It would be better that way, especially when he was Teddy's father. I would not want him to take Teddy away from me. Nikolai would have to fight me to death if he planned to take my Teddy. As soon as the interview finished, I received a call from my uncle Igor. He questioned me why I did not announce my engagement with Pamela. I scoffed at that question and rubbed my chin. In the first place, I did not agree with this arrangement, Uncle Igor. I already found my mate. You knew that. I did not know how much longer I was going to play this charade of pretending to be in a relationship with Pamela. It was suffocating. Igor thought the match between me and Pamela was the perfect choice, as Pamela came from a strong wolf pack from Purple Mountain. Her father was one of my father's strongest allies. Our bond would make my wolf pack stronger. Nico, you need to give up looking for her. It has been 5 years. You need an heir, and having Pamela as your wife is a good choice. She is strong and beautiful, a perfect woman to bear your children. Igor was going on and on, advising me to choose Pamela as the right choice for my wolf pack. I could not stand hearing his nonsense and hung up the call. At that moment, I wished I could talk to my wolf Blake, who seemed to have ghosted me since the day I lost Ashley. I was not the only one who was looking for her. It seemed that the whole of Averna was looking for my Ashley. It came as a shocking surprise to know that I slept with a princess of Averna. The lost princess of Averna who had run away from her wedding, a runaway bride. Was it because of me? For years, I wondered why she left all of a sudden, but I was not going to give up looking for her. I prayed she would still be alive, somewhere out there. Blake? I whispered to my wolf, who was in hiding. Nobody knew that Blake had been dormant for a long time, for I did not mark Ashley as my mate promptly. While in my deep thoughts, I sensed something familiar. A strong scent passed by. I looked around to locate the owner of that scent. Who was it? Author's POV. Bright lights, camera flashing, reporters interviewing, and people queuing to enter the hotel. The event held at Moonlight Hotel was something Ashley did not expect for it to be that big of an event. Ashley felt a little underdressed for the occasion. Wearing her own designed dress, it was not her best, but indeed eye-catching with a vibrant colors, combination of red and gold. She was advised by her agent Gina Lee to submit her designs for an important contest. It was a contest that Ashley had been looking forward to winning since she graduated as a designer. The winner will earn a conceivable reputation and a designing contract worth millions of dollars. She needed that money. It would be all for her son, Teddy. She needed the reputation. Well, that was for her. Tiana, glad to see you here. How was your flight here? I hope all was well. Gina walked in and gave Ashley a brief but tight hug and smiled widely. I am so in love with your designs, and I am confident you would be selected for the final round of assessment. Ashley smiled and placed her drafted designs at the table for submission. It was indeed a masterpiece, something that Ashley had put all the energy she had got to complete it. It was a competition open to all beings. Humans, witches, werewolves, vampires, all were welcome to join. But no magic was allowed to be used to enter the competition. It would be assessed to be authentic with fair evaluation. A panel of esteemed judges would be present to perform the selection. Before Ashley could respond to Gina, she sensed someone was walking towards them. The scent was familiar, and the sound of the heels belonged to one person Ashley recognized well. No fucking way, Ashley thought with hatred forming in her head. Gina Lee, a pleasure to meet you here. I'm Helen Ross, a designer at Sapphire Group. Hearing Helen's sweet voice made Ashley grit her teeth and formed her hand into a fist. She was trying her best not to set Helen on fire. Oh my, you must be the famous Tiana Winters. Helen offered her hand to shake Ashley's hand. It is my pleasure to meet. She paused with her eyes wide. You, Ashley, is that you? Ashley? Who would that be? Gina asked and smiled from Helen to Ashley, not knowing what was going on. Helen Ross, a pleasure to meet you. Sapphire Group? I guess the owner of the company, Crown Prince Philip, would also be here tonight. The The competition this year would be exciting to have designers from both Echo Group and Sapphire Group. Gina continued, "Well, Miss Ross, this is Tiana Winters. I'm sure you have heard of her. No introduction is needed." Ashley tried her best to maintain calm and acted as if that news did not affect her at all. Sapphire Group was a company that Philip planned to open for her when they were together. Knowing that it was now where Helen was working, Ashley felt betrayed. Helen took everything from her. Gina went on to praise Ashley's designs even when Helen was still standing near them. Ashley could sense Helen was not comfortable. It was indeed a delightful sight to see for Ashley where Helen looked nervous. "Excuse me, I need to go to the washroom. A pleasure to meet you, Miss Ross," Ashley said as she left the room, not wanting to spend another minute in the same place, breathing the same air as Helen. It was suffocating. What they did not know was, Ashley wanted to leave the hotel as she was not ready to meet both Helen and Philip. After 5 years, she still could not forgive nor forget the betrayal her loved ones did to her. Walking past by several designers who stopped her for a casual chat was not something Ashley wanted to do. She did not want to be recognized by anyone. She just wanted to get out of the hotel. Ashley knew it was a risk she took coming back to Averna. Someone would recognize her, eventually. She hoped that would not happen so soon, at least not until her son was safely kept hidden. Her family would also take him away from her. They would chain him and take him away, especially if they found out that Teddy was special. He possessed powers that Ashley knew was growing in strength each day. When she finally got near the door to exit the hotel, Ashley sensed something that was bothering her mind. Her heart beats faster by each step. Her skin felt a tingling sensation as if something was pulling her away from the door. "It can't be," she thought while she kept walking, not wanting to look around to see the person that had taken her body. That one-night stand they had was something she could not forget. For a moment, she realized it was a mistake to ever come back to Averna. "Tiana, wait up." Gina walked closer to her and stood next to Ashley. "Where are you going?" "The designers are invited to attend a welcoming party later tonight. You would not want to miss it." "I'm sorry, I feel a little tired already. Must be traveling." As she said her words, her eyes stopped for a few seconds at the glass wall, seeing a reflection of a man that stood several meters behind her. It was him. "Well, I have arranged for a place for you to stay for a couple of nights while they assess the submitted designs. Come with me, I'll show you the place." Ashley nodded as she followed Gina to her car. She pretended not to see Nikolai and followed Gina to an apartment that she had suggested for Ashley to rent. Realizing how close Nikolai was to her, Ashley decided to keep Teddy a secret from everyone, including Gina. Ashley was not sure who to trust. However, no matter how challenging it would be, she would not be beaten easily. She would make herself win until the last. Ashley's POV. "Bless this place. May peace dwell within. Protect those that I welcome to enter. O spirit of my witch ancestors, surrounding my place with your protection, day and night." I whispered a spell and blew the surrounding with my one deep breath. A sense of calmness and peace was felt, making me smile with content. I could feel the presence of my protectors looking after me in this world. I felt safe again. I then walked to the bathroom to clean up in the luxurious tub that was waiting for me. After removing my clothes, I entered the tub that I had filled with calming scent of lavender. Closing my eyes for a moment, I enjoyed myself in the warm bath with a smile. It had washed away all my problems for the night. My hand phone rang a few minutes later, which had disturbed my short moment of peace. It was a message received from Gina. She was back at the Moonlight Hotel to attend the rest of the program planned for the night. A recording of a speech was sent to me. It was from none other than my grandmother, the Queen of Averna. She was invited to deliver a welcoming speech to the contestants for the annual International Design Competition. Gina had no idea who I really was. To her, I was just Tiana Winters from Mystic Town, not the missing Princess Ashley Tatiana Knight. This annual international design competition is held not just to glorify the winners, but it is an avenue for all beings to unite for a purpose, peace, Human, witches, wizards, werewolves, vampires, and any other paranormal beings registered under my protection are welcome to join, and together with this event, we promote unity and friendship. I snorted, hearing my grandmother spoke her words, which I knew was just for a publicity stunt. Nonsense. While she spoke in this event, there were wars happening elsewhere between the human race and other beings. Peace was far from it. They feared the queen, for she was indeed powerful. But I knew well on her weaknesses, and I was no longer afraid of her. No more chains, no more being trapped by her. My parents did not seem to want me. In return for that, I left them. I was not going to go back to my old life. I did not continue to hear the rest of her speech and moved to make a call to my sweet baby boy, Teddy. I missed him so much and wished I could have him here in my apartment, but it was too dangerous to have him near me, especially when his father was so nearby. Before arriving at this simple apartment, I whispered a spell to ensure no one could trace me and my scent, especially by werewolves. Nikolai was my past, and I hope he will not be my future. I would do that by avoiding him as much as I could. He would not fit into what I had planned to do next, as a payback to those that had ruined my life. After my bath, I was ready to take a long sleep after the long flight that I had boarded earlier. While on the soft, comfy bed, I called Teddy. Seeing his cute face in the video call, I felt that all my troubles had disappeared. "Hello, my little cute Teddy. How are you doing? Are you causing trouble for Finley?" Teddy gave a cute, contagious laugh that made me laugh along as well. "Mommy, can you do this?" he asked while trying to touch his lips to his nose. "Finley, what have you been teaching my son?" I pretended to be annoyed, but truthfully, I was delighted to know Teddy was going on well with Finley. There were no words to explain how much I owed Finley for saving me from my past. A runaway bride. That was what the people of Averna called me after I did not appear at the grand wedding planned for me by my royal family 5 years ago. I could not believe I was the one being blamed, and Philip played the role as the innocent one that was left at the altar. Rubbish. I wished I could tell the whole world that he was the one that had cheated on me with my former best friend. Their betrayal would not be easily forgiven by me. I closed my eyes after ending the call with my son. I needed to rest. The thought of having to meet both Helen and Philip again made me a little nervous, but it had to be done. I had so much planned for that. A dream then appeared in my mind, which always appeared at my nights these years. It was more like a memory. Images of what I had recalled during my encounter with Nikolai 5 years ago came to my mind. Hot, steamy make-out session came next. It made me moan with pleasure as I recalled how good his tongue was, exploring my mouth hungrily. He was such a good kisser, way better than Philip. Feeling him inside of me sent a shockwave all across my body. I liked it, very much. As the image of him was about to mark me, I woke up from the vivid dream when I heard my hand phone ring. The caller ringtone went on several times until I had no choice but to answer it. "Yes, Gina. What is the matter?" "Tiana, you need to come here now. Something happened, and I don't know how and why it happened." Gina said her words while sounding out of breath as if she had just run a marathon. "Calm down. Tell me what happened." I moved to a sitting position and looked at the time. It was 3 hours before midnight. She should have gone to the after-event party to be held till past midnight. When I arrived at the hotel, I was called to a room where the submitted designs were being assessed at the first level of elimination. A staff member came to me and told me that you might have made a mistake when submitting the designs. It had annoyed an investor who happened to be in the panel of judges. "This is serious, Tiana. You need to come here and fix it tonight, or you'll be eliminated at the first level." Gina sounded disappointed on something I did not understand what went wrong. After the call ended, I got up to get dressed for the event, wearing the dress I had worn earlier. Minimal makeup was put on my face as I was too tired to look my best. I could not figure out what sort of mistake I made. I was thorough in checking my designs before I made the submission to enter the competition. When I reached the hotel, Gina was nowhere to be seen. She must have left for the after-event party. A staff member ushered me to enter a private room after I introduced myself. She looked at me from head to toe with a smirk. I wondered what that was all about. After entering the room, the door was closed by the staff, leaving me alone to face that judge who was not satisfied with my submitted designs. Turning my head to face the only person in the room other than me, I gasped slightly. A pair of familiar light brown eyes met mine, Ashley's POV. It must have been my unlucky day. Why must it be him? Was he really a judge for this designer's competition? No, please no. I whispered a spell to change my appearance to other than those he could recognize. Not an easy spell for me to cast, but I have to try something to try to get out of this situation. I was not ready to face him. Not yet. Realizing the man seated opposite me was Nikolai made my heart beat faster than usual. For a moment, my tongue froze. I didn't even have the courage to greet him immediately. At that moment, I recalled something. The whole place where the competition was held was free from magic and supernatural powers. It was like a void. Everyone was made equal. A fair competition to all species. I closed my eyes for a few seconds and took one deep breath, praying he would not recognize me. Good evening. You asked for me? I'm Tiana Winters. I said my words calmly, trying my best to hold my nerves without using my calming spell. Without looking at me, he said his words while reading a document. You are disqualified to enter the competition. Take your submission and leave. What the fuck? How dare he say such things? I worked hard to complete the submission. And why is that? I asked with my voice slightly raised. I demand an explanation. An explanation? I could hear his words being said in anger while he slowly lifted his head to finally look at me. He was not at all looking happy or friendly. Why on earth would anyone hire him to be a judge? He would probably disqualify everyone. Nothing would please him. He was known to be a man who was all the time with an arrogant and unfriendly face. Yes, an explanation. I have thoroughly checked my submission. Everything was in order. There is no reason for you to disqualify my entry to this competition. I said my words under one breath with my lips trembling a little, mostly due to my disappointment with his actions. This is supposed to be a fair competition. Did I not mean anything to him? I gave him my body back then. Did he not recognize me? Urgh. I was feeling a little upset and angry with this man. Explain, or I will bring this matter up to a higher level of authority. You man wolf, werman, wolfman, whatever they call your species. All right, my brain was not functioning. That was a little embarrassing. With his eyes looking into mine, we were in a staring competition. I did not blink. He stood up slowly from his seat behind a mahogany desk and sneered. All right, Miss Winters, whatever your species calls you. Despite his words with gritted teeth, for some reason, his anger at me was looking kind of sexy. But I was not showing any interest in this man who did not even bother to look for me for the past 5 years. Perhaps it was just a one-night stand for him. It was clear to me that he did not even care about our night together, and he should never find out about Teddy. Bam! The sound shocked me, making me let out a soft yelp. My eyes moved to see a file, and my submitted designs were placed on his table. He wrapped his strong and muscular arms on his chest and said to me, Go on, have another thorough look into your submission. Tell me what is wrong with it. I sighed and rolled my eyes. He was so annoying. Why won't he just tell me what was wrong with it? I walked towards his table and faced him. As I looked down to flip open my submitted file, several objects fell off from the pages. I wondered what it was. It did look familiar. Oh my God, I said while closing the file back. My eyes were staring at a blank space to think. It was not what I would have done, not in a million years. Take it out, he whispered while standing next to me. No. I said take it out. I said no, don't make me ask you another time. Take it out yourself. I'm not touching those condoms you placed in your file. I stopped talking as I was too embarrassed to even look at his handsome face. Damn, he smelled so good. He got closer and whispered, Were you trying to bribe a judge? What? No. I turned my head to the side to look at him. I was framed. I would never do this. Never do this? Like never had you seduced a stranger for your own benefit? His words made me swallow my saliva. What the hell was he talking about? Who would want to frame you, Miss Tiana Winters? You are not even the top 3 designers in the list of great achievements. Nobody cares about you. You are nobody. His words were hurtful. I had so many things to say to him, But I did not want to start an argument with him. Was he letting out revenge on him? Was it his doing? I definitely did not want him to remember me on what we did that night 5 years ago. That would lead him to Teddy. At that moment, I felt that he would take my Teddy away if he knew I gave birth to his son. I kept silent and avoided his eyes that were staring at me intensely. Those sexy eyes haunt my dreams at night. I knew he was becoming more furious, but my mind was trying to think of who would do such a thing to me. Was it Helen? Or was it Nikolai, who wanted to have a reason to see me again? The second choice was unlikely to happen. Without any warning, he suddenly trapped me on the table, and I could feel his warm breath on my neck. Did you lack men in your life? Is that why you placed those condoms in the file? I should have turned around and slapped his face, but I moved to the side and avoided being too close to him. But then, he pulled my hand and pushed me to a wall. I gasped while staring at his handsome face while he pinned me to the wall. If you have so much desire for sex, I would not mind to fulfill your wishes. His words made my heart skip a beat. Nikolai's POV. When I saw her again, it was as if time fell into a tiny speck of dust and was waiting to explode at lightning speed. That's what I felt inside my chest. It was as if for a moment I had forgotten how to breathe. My heart was beating faster each second, erratically out of control, as I got closer to her. Looking deep into her mesmerizing blue eyes, I exhaled my breath. She was gorgeous, indeed. Even with her trying to change her looks, I knew it was her, my Ashley, my little witch. At that closeness, I could hear her heart beating fast even when she tried to hide her fear from me. I could sense our connection getting stronger. Did she feel it too? It was magnetic, it was magical. As when the skin from the back of my hand touched her soft cheeks, I felt sparks fly, electrifying. Seeing her eyes twitched a little, I knew she felt it too. She tried so hard to calm down. Perhaps she had forgotten what I am. I was not just a werewolf. I was more than that. Her heart wanted me. Her body was in heat. But I sensed something was holding her back. I wonder what it was, and I was going to find it out. Did she not remember me? Was she trying to avoid me? Why? She could run forever, hide from everyone, and I would search for her each time, but in the end, I knew every path would lead me back to her. I never recognized what love is before I met her. Was this love? In that moment of my weakness, I felt her hand on my chest. It was slowly pushing me back as my lips were just inches away to hers. Don't. Her whispered words were sweet to my ears, but it annoyed me at the same time. No woman had ever rejected me to be close to them. Did she not want me? Sir, she swallowed her saliva and opened her eyes wider to look into mine. I will prove my innocence. Someone did this to me. I will find the truth. Call me Nikolai. I took one deep breath and moved slightly away from her. How do you plan to prove your innocence, Tiana? At the mention of her fake name, she let out her breath. Was she relieved that I pretended not to know her, or did she not remember who I was? Oh, my dear Ashley, you are one mysterious woman. How about a fingerprint test? Allow me to use a little of my powers and I will prove it to you. I am sure it would not be mine. Her words did make sense. I nodded to that and moved to my table to press a button under the table. Just for 5 minutes. If you use your powers for other things, I will send men to catch you and lock you up in a cell for violating the peace treaty. That got her attention. Of course, as the Princess of Averna, they would let her out immediately. Why would the queen punish her own granddaughter or put her in chains? To my surprise, she nodded and walked towards the table. She placed both of her hands on her designs, and the condoms placed on my table. As she closed her eyes, I could hear her whispered a spell. An ancient spell said in a language not spoken for many years. What kind of witch are you, Ashley? I wondered. In my mind, I was already imagining myself pushing her face down on the table and make love to her. Did she not know how much was I suffering not being able to mate with her? There, can you see it? She opened her eyes and said her words while looking at the fingerprints visible on the designs. The different colors represents different person had touched it. Mine blue, yours red. The green is of another person. You can call another witch to verify this. She was right. I had seen this sort of magic used before. There was someone who wanted her being disqualified from the competition. I wondered who was it. I think it is time for you to apologize to me, Mr. Wolfgard, she said in an arrogant way with her arms crossed her chest. Cute, but I would not do such thing. Hold on. So she did know who I was. Did she remember our time together 5 years ago? Damn you, woman. That proves nothing. I scoffed at her and shook my head before I growled. It could be a trick you did just now to mismatch the fingerprints to confuse me. Also, you had just proved something else. I let out a hint of my frustration. It had nothing to do with the damn designs. It was me being angry at her pretending she did not remember us. And what would that be, Mr. Wolfgard? Get to the point. How dare this little witch raise her voice at me? If you are a qualified designer, you should know how to protect your own designs. Clearly, you lack experience, and that makes me question whether you are worthy to join this prestige competition. I did not know what came to me. I did not mean what I said to her. I wished I could take my words back. How dare you say such things to me? She scoffed back at me and placed both her hands on each side of her small waist. Oh, she was angry. And I liked it. Well, I would find the truth, and when I do, you still owe me an apology, Mr. Wolfgard. Her words made me chuckled, and I moved to rub my chin while looking at her. Perhaps I could teach her a lesson for what she had done to me for the past 5 years. 5 years of agony and hurt. I was going to make her beg for me. I'll then make her submit to my demands. You have until midnight tonight. I then walked away, showing as if she meant nothing to me, not a second later. No proof, no admission. I'll disqualify you myself. Before I closed the door to the room, I could hear her cursing at me in her own language. I somehow loved this feeling I have for her. She was different from other women I had met in the past. I smiled behind the closed door and knew the game had just begun. Ashley's POV. That idiot! I shouted to myself as he closed the door, leaving me behind to fix the mistake that was clearly not my fault. Stupid wolf man. Was he blind? Did he not see I had just proved to him about the different fingerprints? I was not sure if I was angry at his ignorance on what I had shown him, or was it due to the fact that he did not recognize who I was. Did I not mean anything to him 5 years ago? I then exhaled my breath. Of course, he already moved on with that woman with the name Pamela. Sexy woman with big tits. I looked down to my chest. My boobs were not that bad. That wolf. Why must he be so handsome for me to hate him more? I was cursing him in many languages, but my powers were not working anymore once he left the room. Annoying prick. I wished I could turn him into a frog and throw him out from the window of this building. Realizing I had only until midnight to fix this mess, I stayed back for several minutes and planned to check on the surveillance camera. There must be something caught in the camera that would help me to prove my innocence. After half an hour looking at the video recordings in the security room, I then saw a familiar-looking woman that had entered the room to submit the designs after I had left the place. Helen? Oh, that butch! I sensed she was bad news. I looked for more evidence to see if there was anything stronger to show she had planted those condoms in my file. But it was to no avail. Damn it. Where could she be? I sat back on the chair in disappointment, while staring at the screen of the surveillance recording playing back at me. Maybe at the masquerade party held tonight. Every participant would love to attend the party hosted by the royal family of Averna. The security personnel said to me while eating a tray of desserts which I had bribed him with. I smiled at him. Thank you. You are of great help. You are most welcome, Your Royal Highness. His words made me turn to look at him. What did he say? Looking at me nervously, with his mouth full of cake, he swallowed them all at one go. You are not as bad as how they described you to be. I promised I would not tell anyone I saw you, Princess. Please don't burn me into ashes. I have 2 young sons. What kind of monster did he think I was? I shook my head and sighed. You got the wrong person. My name is Tiana Winters. I'm not Princess Ashley Knight, a common mistake people make here in Averna. Good night. I walked out confidently without looking back at the man who had recognized me. I needed to do something to make my appearance unrecognizable as Ashley. I did not want anyone to take me back to my old unhappy life. Walking out from the hotel, I then made a call to Gina to ask her for an invitation card to the masquerade party. I remembered she had one for me. Come on, Gina, pick up the call. I whispered to myself as I called her for the third time without receiving an answer from her. She must have already gone to the party, thinking I was not interested to join her. Or perhaps she was fucking someone. Out of luck? That voice startled me and made me jump to the side. With one hand placed on my chest, I stared at that annoying man who refused to believe my innocent self. Were you stalking me? Me? Why on earth would I do that? He said his words with a frown. You are enjoying this, aren't you? I asked and squinted my eyes while looking at him. He was surely lying and definitely bad at it. Do I have the face of someone enjoying the moment to see you? Those words kind of hurt me a little. I was hoping he would be delighted to see me again after 5 years. Well, I was clearly delusional. Clearing my throat once, I then looked at him with my head held high. I need your help. He lowered his head and asked, Could you speak louder? I did not hear you. Seriously? I was sure he heard me once. Exhaling loudly, I got closer to him and whispered, I need an invitation to that party going on tonight. Which party? The only party I know is the masquerade party, mainly held for those qualified to enter this competition, and of course the royal family and friends of the Queen of Averna. He got closer and whispered back at me, You are none of them. This man was annoying. What kind of game was he playing with me? Did he seriously do not recognize who I was? The security personnel did so in few minutes with me. How can Nikolai not know who I was after what we went through 5 years ago? My mind was spiraling into a web of confusion, and I knew he was enjoying that moment of torturing me. Well then, Mr. Wolfgard, I'll find help elsewhere, I said firmly before I walked out away from him. 2 gold invitation cards were flashed in front of my face. Call me Nikolai. I'm sure you know who I am. No, I don't, I answered quickly and frowned at him. I just know you as that judge who refused to believe me. Maybe it was you who tricked me and caused my submission to be disqualified. And why would I do that? His devilishly handsome face was so close to mine that I could even feel his warm, minty breath on my cheeks. Because you are a werewolf. And for centuries, your kind hates my kind. I pushed him back gently with my fingers and continued to walk away. Then I felt a hand pulling my arms. It made me turn around to face him again, with my cold hands fell on his broad and strong chest. For a moment, we were looking at each other again. God, I love his eyes. They were deep and sparkly. I sensed there was something more about him. Was he just a werewolf? His eyes were much calmer than what I had seen back in the room earlier. What happened? Did I say something wrong? I'll help you, but you would have to pay me back with a favor in the future. Wear something nice. You have half an hour to get dressed. I'll wait for you here. He then let me go and turned around to leave me in the cold. Alone. I watched him enter the hotel again, hoping he would turn around to look at me one more time, but he did not. What just happened? Nikolai's POV. Almost half an hour later, I stood outside the passenger door of my black Lamborghini. I have asked my bodyguards to leave me alone tonight with the woman they thought to be Tiana Winters. Soon, Pamela would hear me going out with another woman. I did not care. I never said I was in love with Pamela. She assumed too much. After exhaling the smoke from my cigarette, I recalled what Ashley had said to me. She too knew the consequences of us being together. That centuries-old dispute between the werewolves and witches of the East were something that would make our bond almost impossible. I did not care a fuck for it. If Ashley was indeed my mate, which I could sense she was, I would defend her with my life. She should not worry about any werewolf that would want to hurt her. Was that why she ran away from me? Was she afraid of being with me? I wondered about the possibility of this. I needed to fix it. She needed to know how important she was to my life. Are you going to open the door to the car for me? Her sweet voice made me look up at her with a smile. But that smile on my face froze the moment I saw what was on her body. What the fuck was she wearing? My eyes scanned her appearance from head to toe and back up to her pretty face. I then growled, Are you missing something to wear on that dress of yours? The black dress she was wearing was revealing her cleavage a little too much to my liking. The side slit at her leg was showing too much skin. I hated that more. No doubt she was breathtakingly beautiful tonight, but I did not like the idea of other men looking at her. She was too sexy looking for a stupid party, so sexy that I felt some hardness in my pants. We are late. Stop stalling. It is either you open the door for me or I'll move to the driver's seat and drive us there myself. Wherever that place is, she said to me angrily. Why was she so angry at me? I should be the one angry at her for wearing that dress, leaving very little for others' imagination. Get in the car, I said angrily, and not even bothered to be the gentleman I planned to be for her as I had thought to be earlier. Stubborn woman, she was. She can open the door to my car herself. As we entered my car, I drove us to the masquerade party in silence. My mind was still on that thing she was wearing. This is one of my latest designs this year, a limited edition dress and my best seller. Deal with it, she said to me before rolling her eyes at me. Best design? I hated it. I wanted to tear it into pieces. I took a glance at her and held my breath after I saw her revealing sexy long legs. This woman is the death of me. After I left my car at the valet service, I offered my arm for her to take, but she arrogantly refused it and walked away from me. What was wrong with her? Was she angry at me now? Women, they are so difficult to understand. Following her from behind, my eyes were trying hard to stop staring at her beautiful and rounded bottom. It annoyed me much to see how other men looked at her hungrily. And of course, I stared back at each of them with anger. I was sure no men would dare to approach her after I made it known that this beautiful witch was my date for the masquerade party. At least, she agreed to wear a matching mask with mine. I was watching her every move, even when we were separated. I had people coming to me to talk business that I was not interested in. While pretending to hear their boring business proposals, I drank my wine with my eyes staring at her petite, sexy figure walking around the ballroom. She was looking for someone. I wondered who it was. Did she finally figure it out on who had ruined her design's submission? That was fast. Beauty with brains. Good qualities I looked into in a woman. After another half an hour, I saw her standing at the sides with her eyes focused on looking at a familiar-looking couple. Eldrick, do you know who they are? I asked my human friend who was standing beside me. He was watching over his pretty and pregnant wife from far. Who? He asked with his eyes still focused on his wife. Pointing at the couple who Ashley was still staring at, I asked again, that couple at the other end, the one wearing matching gold mask with diamonds on them. Finally, my love-sick-looking friend turned his gaze to the couple I mentioned. Crown Prince Philip and his fiancée Helen Ross. Excuse me, I need to check on my wife. Talk to you later, Nico. Eldrick walked away swiftly and was seen to approach his wife and whispered something that made her smile happily. I wondered what it was. At times I was jealous seeing how happy he was with his wife. I wished one day I would have the same with my mate, a good marriage with several children. My mother would be happy with that. Philip, that name sounded familiar. I thought for a moment and searched for what I could find on Philip through my handphone. The results I read made me frown. It was him. The man that my Ashley had run away from, her former fiancé. Looking at Ashley again, I could sense her emotion even from where I was standing. Was she sad seeing Philip standing beside his new fiancé? I walked towards her while ignoring those who wanted to talk to me. I needed to know. Was she still in love with that useless-looking human called Philip? She better not be. With my hand placed gently on her back, I then whispered closely to her ears, "It is close to midnight. Are you making progress, Tiana?" She gasped, feeling my hand on her bare back. I too felt it, loving the feeling of her soft skin on mine. But seeing the pain hidden behind her eyes, I was getting angrier. I hated seeing her looking at another man. "Who are you looking at?" I said with gritted teeth. Finally, she looked at me, even with her pretty face hidden from behind the mask that had covered half of her face. I could feel how sad she was at that time, through her teary-looking blue, shining eyes. Ashley's POV. I sniffled a tear quietly. I did not expect to feel so sad seeing Philip standing next to that bitch Helen. When I saw his hands placed on Helen's waist, I felt hurt like 1,000 knives piercing through my already broken heart. Did he love her? I wondered for years, hoping it was all just a bad dream. But it seemed all hope was lost for Philip to love me back. How could he do such things to me? I loved him. We were happy once upon a time. Feeling Nikolai's warmth next to me, I somehow felt a little better. For some reason, I felt some sense of bitterness in his eye. Perhaps he saw me looking at another man. I hoped he would not ask me any more questions about Philip or Helen. I would not know how to answer him. Even after 5 years, my mind found it difficult to process what had happened to me 5 years ago when I lost all the things I loved in my life to Helen Ross. It was all clearly over between me and Philip. He had moved on, and so did Nikolai with his rumored fiancée named Pamela. Again, I was left alone in this world. All I truly had now was my baby boy Teddy. My son was the only person that truly loved me. Looking at Nikolai, who was waiting for me to answer his question, I somehow could feel his emotions. Was he jealous? That was impossible. I have found the person who tried to ruin my reputation. I will get her fingerprints and prove to you that I am innocent, I said before walking away from Nikolai. I did not even wait for him to talk back at me. He was definitely watching me. It was as if his eyes were glued to my body for some weird reason I did not understand. If he liked me, he would not have treated me so badly. He was rude, and I hated the fact that he did not like my elegant dress. As I moved my way closer to the fake-looking Helen, I made sure no one was looking at me. It had to be done subtly with no witness seeing me approaching Helen. Well, she was already known to be the future Queen of Drakor and future wife of Prince Philip. That bitch took everything from me. I hated her. I whispered a small spell to make her not notice of my presence getting close to her. I could feel my powers dampen at the ballroom. Something was felt blocking my powers to reach its full capacity. Did they install some sort of witch protection spell at the party too? What were my family afraid of? I then paused to think and realized they might do it for me. Were they expecting me to come home one day? Fuck! I was useless in Averna without my powers functioning at full capacity. The clock would strike at midnight soon. I had no time to waste. I needed proof that Helen had sabotaged my designs. This time, I was not letting her win. When I was about to succeed in getting Helen's fingerprints seen on her empty glass of wine, I felt someone pushed me to the side. That little push made me trip and fell on the floor with the broken wine glass cutting my fingers. "Hey!" I shouted at a woman who I suspected had pushed me down. I then slowly got up and wiped the dirt on my dress. That little scene of me falling down to the floor had caught the attention of those nearby. Whispers were heard, followed by some who had pointed their finger at me. My attention then moved to my side, where I saw Helen too was on the ground. No way. Did they think I'd pushed Helen down? How on earth was I able to do that? She pushed Miss Ross. I saw it. Apologize to Miss Ross, whoever you are. That annoying high-pitched voice was familiar. I have heard it somewhere. When I saw the face of the owner of the voice, I gasped. It was Miko, my evil cousin who hated me. The feeling was mutual, by the way. Looking around, I saw her twin Lunar standing near Helen. Ha! Those idiotic cousins of mine had something to do with this. Something was going on, and I was going to find it out. I did no such things, I said in anger, and stared at Miko with my piercing blue eyes. Are you blind? Look how far hell. Miss Ross was from where I was standing. Miko shook her head and shouted even louder. You are lying. Lunar, you saw it too, right? Of course, that no-good cousin of mine nodded her head like a headless chicken. Damn, I wished I had my powers back. I was surely wishing I could turn Miko and Lunar into donkeys. How dare you hurt her? Guards, take her away. It was not what Philip had said to me that had hurt me. It was the way he said it that had bothered me much. It was as if he did not recognize me at all. How was it possible that Helen could recognize me but not Philip? Something was going on here. I felt something burning on my chest. Whispers of strange voices heard in my ears. What was going on? Did the spirit of my dead witch ancestors try to warn me of something bad was going to happen to me? You have no proof. Do you know who I am? I said with gritted teeth while pushing my powers to the maximum as I can. I could feel some form of warmth on my palm. Whatever spell was done to limit my powers at the ballroom, I was close into breaking it. My eyes were slowly turning into shades of red until someone shouted at me, You are lying! She is a witch! Look at her. Witches can't be trusted. Tiana Winters, that is her name, that new famous designer. Why did she push Miss Ross? It was just an accident. I do not believe a word she said. The whispers were getting louder, and more hate words were heard as compared to those that had pitied my situation. I tried to argue back, but it seemed no one trusted me. Take off your mask and reveal yourself. Apologize to my fiancé now. Philip shouted at me rudely and refused to listen to any words that came out from my mouth. Well, perhaps it was time for me to reveal who I was. After 5 years of hiding, it may be time for me to come back and face my enemies. But then Nikolai stood in front of me, facing Philip. At the sight of Nikolai defending me, everyone kept quiet. No one dared to say a word. Why were they afraid of him? They should be afraid of me. Author's POV. The Royal Masquerade party happened once a year and fully sponsored by the royal family of Averna, a grand night of celebration with invitees from royal families around the world, including those who were qualified to enter the annual designing competition. Prestige, classy, and extravagant, it was a dream come true for most to attend, an event where the citizen of Averna was looking forward to every year. It was their chance to meet the prince and princesses, while having a good time, not caring of their status in society. A luxuriously decorated banquet table filled with delicious food and expensive drinks were provided for their indulgence. Unlimited supply with the finest delicacies to taste, a reason to why the designing competition was one of a kind. The winner would have the chance to design elegant dresses and suits for the royal families. It would make them prosperous with money and fame, a good reputation that would last for a long time. The young and single would offer themselves as dance partners, whereas the married couples would take the opportunity to strengthen their relationship with their spouses. A lively event indeed, with live string orchestra playing songs that were to everyone's liking. It had one rule. Everyone was to cover half of their face wearing a decorated mask, for everyone would be treated as an equal. One night of liberation and fun. For those without a dance partner, other entertainers were present to fill in their night with magic shows and games. It was most importantly a place where paranormal beings would be present under one roof. No wars, no fights. Everyone seemed to abide with the importance of maintaining peace and serenity, led by the Queen of Averna. But, seeing the dark alpha of the realm being present with a witch, everyone's attention moved to Nikolai Wolfgard, who stood firmly in front of a woman they were calling his mistress, Miss Tiana Winters. Everyone was anticipating a fight to happen. What evidence you have against my dance mate? Just words from two women who are known to spit lies when they talk. Nikolai took one step forward, which made everyone else took 2 steps back. They were all afraid of what he would do next. His strong aura was vibrating the intensity of the dance floor. He turned his gaze towards 2 women who he guessed to be twins. You, come here. Repeat what you just said to my woman. The twins who he knew to be the infamous spoiled daughters of the rich billionaire from the Martini family. Nikolai growled and exhaled his deep breath. Those around him gasped and moved back, being afraid of him. Nikolai had long been watching the ill behavior of Ashley's evil twin cousins, who she had shared with him her disappointment and hate towards them 5 years ago. How he wished he could hurt them back, as much as how they had hurt his Ashley. Staring at the one called Miko, Nikolai squinted his eyes and used his abilities to search her with his deep and perfect vision. When his eyes met her hand, he thought he saw something familiar. Show me what you have in your hand. What? It is none of your business. Miko answered and kept her hand behind her back. She scanned the room for a way out as she sensed the feared Alpha Nikolai was taking steps towards her. You look nervous. Nikolai sneered and moved to reach Miko in a second. He dragged her out from hiding and pulled her hidden hand. A decoration of designs was seen scattered on the floor in front of Miko. Explain that. Those are mine. The trembling voice of Helen was heard as she watched her designs on the pieces of paper lying on the floor for everyone to see. You stole my designs, Miko? Philip, who stood next to Helen, was speechless for a moment. He was not sure if it was due to his actions in blaming an innocent woman, or was it, he felt he knew that woman he had mistakenly accused of pushing Helen down. Some strange and awkward feelings were forming in his chest when he saw the woman by the name Tiana Winters. There were some visions playing in his head, but he could not see the face of the woman in his memory. He wondered what was going on to him. "Philip, do something." As Helen touched his arm, his mind was cleared of that memory. The pounding effect inside his head was no longer there. It made him smile awkwardly at Helen. Turning to look at Miko, Philip sighed of annoyance. "How dare you steal the designs of my fiancé? Guards, take them away from this event. Lock them up until I find a way to deal with them." Of course, he could not just punish the twins willingly. They were the relatives of Ashton Knight, the Queen's son-in-law. He had to deal the matter with care. He would dare not anger the Queen. "Apologize to my woman, now!" Nikolai shouted angrily with the veins on his neck showing. He knew who Philip was, and he was not liking how Philip had treated Ashley that night. It was disrespectful and rude. "The matter will be dealt appropriately, and we will take necessary action on Miss Miko Martini," Philip said arrogantly with his head held high. He was not going to apologize to some stranger. "Don't forget the peace treaty. I will deal with my kind and your kind deals with yours. Enjoy the rest of the party, Nikolai." "That's not an apology," Nikolai said with gritted teeth and moved to hold Ashley's hand. "You are a disgrace to your kind." He then walked out with her following behind him. His words to Philip were unexpected and had made Philip's face turned red in anger. If it was not for the peace agreement between human and werewolves, Philip would have moved to fight Nikolai to restore his honor. Nikolai and Ashley's fingers intertwined with each other tightly, which had welcomed gossips about Nikolai's new relationship with a witch. Many wondered where was Pamela. The rest of all the invited werewolves followed behind, leaving the masquerade party. They knew what it meant by Nikolai's words. No support was given to Prince Philip's behavior. As soon as they were outside of the hotel where the masquerade party was held, Nikolai could see Ashley trying hard to hide the tears that fell down her cheeks. He pretended not to notice the sadness that was forming in her heart. He could feel it. She was in pain, a pain from a broken heart. As his car arrived, he opened the passenger door for her to enter like a true gentleman, something that others standing near him found it odd. It was unlike him to do such things to a woman, especially a witch. The ride in the car was in silence while Ashley kept gazing out from the window. She did not want to show Nikolai the sadness that was forming in her chest. Then she realized he was not driving back to where he had picked her up. Sensing her nervousness, Nikolai smiled and held her hand while driving. "I'll take you somewhere to ease your mind. Just trust me." Author's POV. Back at the hotel where the masquerade party was happening, Philip was dancing with Helen. The party went on, but it was no longer the same without the werewolves. They were mostly the fun type, especially when they were drunk. Of course, that excludes the arrogant-looking Nikolai Wolfgard. The vampires were the quiet ones, charming but reserved types. Their eyes were always watching over the witches who could take away their gift of walking under sunlight at any time. They have sworn to protect the witches from the werewolves, a pact made centuries ago. What happened between Nikolai and the witch they knew as Tiana Winters were indeed fascinating to them. An odd union, something they have not seen for a long time, something they thought would be a sign of a war coming, wondering which side would their vampire king choose. As for the humans, even without special abilities, they were strong in numbers and weapons. Their strong allies with the fairies would make them undefeated. So that was what they thought to be. A world without the protector would be chaos. It was up to the Queen of Averna to maintain balance and peace among beings. "What is the matter, my love?" Helen whispered and smiled sweetly at Philip. Her hands were caressing his cheeks while she whispered her words closely. "It will go away. You will find a way to the people's heart. The Crown Prince of Drakor is a well-respected man, and everyone knows what an arrogant Nikolai Wolfgard is. You will one day take over what is meant to be yours. You are stronger than what other thinks about you." Helen's kind words made Philip smile weakly. Seeing her kind manners and gentleness were soothing to his mind. But somehow, over the past 5 years, being in relationship with her, he felt she was starting to control his decision-makings. But somehow, He was not able to protest. It was something he did not like when he was with Ashley in the past, but with Helen, somehow he felt different. He had allowed Helen to influence his actions at times, without realizing it. One thing for sure, he knew Helen was not a witch. "Speak to me, my love. Are you not happy with me?" Helen's voice turned into a sad tone, which made Philip felt a pain in his chest. He shook his head and pulled Helen closer to his body. "Of course, I am happy with you." Those words were said to end the conversation Helen had started with him. He needed to think about what just happened. Something was bothering him. For the past few minutes, it was not Nikolai's behavior that had bothered Philip. It was the fact that he felt he knew that woman who he had accused of pushing Helen. Tiana Winter, was that her name? A woman with black hair and blue striking eyes. Those eyes were familiar, but he could not recall where he had seen her. "I need to find out who she is," he thought to himself, while continuing his dance with Helen. "I had hopes that she would like the place I took her." It was at a mountain top facing the bright light city of Averna at night, while the sky was filled with shining stars. A starry night that I hoped could ease her worrying mind and troubled heart, and calm that heart I would love to conquer. "Stop crying," I said coldly without looking at her. I was hating the look of her crying for another man. "I'm not crying." "Then, why are your cheeks wet?" "I don't know what you're talking about." "I'm a werewolf. I can hear your heartbeats. You are a bad liar." She turned to look at me from looking out of the window. I could see from the corner of my eyes that she was not liking what I said to her. Her eyes were teary, but it was cold, not a smile forming on her pretty face. "Am I in trouble? Shut up." Her voice was more of a whisper, trying hard not to burst into tears or worst into flames. I wanted to say more hurtful things to her, but decided not to spoil the mood for tonight. She was one hell of an arrogant woman. A part of me wanted to strangle her neck or choke the air out from her lungs, but the most part of me wanted so much to taste that plump lips of hers. I sat back on my chair and sighed. There was so much I wanted to say to her. I did not know how to begin. For a moment, we sat next to each other while staring at the sky, in silence. The stars were radiating bright and twinkling with each other. I could be in a worse state in my life, but being at this mountain top, it felt like my problems were washed away for a moment and helped me to think. My favorite spot. My late father's favorite spot. My father brought me here once, a long time ago. I did not realize those words slipped my mouth. I was not planning to share anything about my family to her or anyone. It was of a private matter to me. "Thank you for trusting me, for defending me," she said her words softly and sniffled a tear. I turned my head to face her and wished I could kiss every teardrop that fell on her blushed cheeks. My eyes moved from her striking blue and calmer eyes down to her lips. I could hear her heart beating wildly as I got closer to her. A strange feeling felt in my chest was forming, an attraction, a pull. I did not know what it was. Seeing her not moving away as I got closer, I could not help myself. I moved to close the gap between us while trying hard to control my heart from bursting out from my chest. Her pretty face was so close to mine until I could smell that sweet roses scent she had on her body. Beautiful. Then I kissed her, Nikolai's POV. She may have forgotten that I was a werewolf. I could hear her conversation with a man I heard she mentioned to be Teddy. Such a childish name of a man that I hoped not to be her lover. I would crush that Teddy. No one can have my Ashley. She was mine, always. I tried to calm myself as my mind was trying to figure out who could this Teddy be. Was I jealous? Maybe I was, most likely. What has this witch done to me? At the mention of the name Teddy, I felt strange in my heart. A feeling that I never felt for so long was forming. For the past 5 years, I thought I could never feel my wolf Blake again. "Blake?" I called to him in my mind, hoping that he would finally talk to me. I sensed his presence. I sensed he had finally woken up. "I'm tired," Ashley said to me with her eyes staring at a blank space. I turned to my side and looked at her, wondering why she was looking a little nervous. It was just a while ago that she was yelling at me. This woman could change her mood instantly, like there was a switch button hidden in her mind. I moved to lift her chin so she would finally look at me. "What's wrong?" I came to know she had a tell. Her right eye twitched a little as I stared for her to reply to my question. She was thinking on how to lie to me. Nothing is wrong. I'm just tired. She bit her lips and was avoiding my eyes to look into hers. It made me smile. Do I make you feel nervous, honey? I whispered close to her ears before I placed soft kisses on her cheeks. Let's continue what we had not finished before you answer that damn call. My lips moved to capture hers. My soft kiss lingered on her lips before I parted her lips to taste more of her. I took my time as I wanted her to be at ease, calming whatever was playing in her mind. Nikolai. No, she stopped my hand that was already underneath her skirt. It will be a busy day tomorrow for the competition. I need to prepare for what is coming, and I still need to prove to you that I'm innocent. Innocent? I chuckled to that and moved to plant a kiss on her forehead. So much that I was hard for her. I knew she was right. I had to get up early tomorrow as well. You still owe me that favor for getting you to the masquerade party, I said while looking at her. I licked the finger that I had touched her before and winked at her. You taste so good, honey. Stop calling me that. I saw her trying to hide her smile. She liked that gesture of mine. Or did she like me calling her honey? I then drove her back to where I had picked her up. As expected, she refused to tell me where she was staying, and I had ways to find that out later. He was smiling at times that freaked me out. What was playing in his mind? I panicked when he mentioned the name Teddy. How silly I was to have mentioned Teddy's name when I was on the phone with him. The ride in the car was in silence again, despite my mind was thinking about a lot of things to say to him. I just did not know how to tell him about what happened to me 5 years ago. It was indeed a relief, for he did not mention or open that topic about our one-night stand. As he parked his car in front of Moonlight Hotel, I quickly got out from the car, not wanting him to move to kiss me again. I was all hot for him. Another encounter like that would make me lost to his desires once again. Not wanting him to follow me, I cast a spell as I moved to enter the lobby of the hotel. I then took another exit out from the hotel towards my apartment. I was sure he could not trace my scent from the spell I had blown in the air surrounding me. As I reached my apartment, I removed my shoes and walked barefooted towards my room. Lying on my soft bed, I tried to sleep, but my mind was thinking about who had framed me. I needed to focus in finding out the truth to at least clear my name. The main suspect was, of course, Helen. There was no real proof, but I knew she had something to do with it. I had plans to show Nikolai the video surveillance showing she had entered that room after me and planted those disgusting condoms. I sensed she might have done more than just planting those condoms. I wondered if she had changed my designs too. That bitch! I turned to my side and punched a pillow, imagining that pillow was Helen's cunning face. Closing my eyes again, my mind went on to recall the things I did with Nikolai in his car. I felt as if it felt just right when I was close to him. A feeling quite different from when I was with Philip. There was indeed some sort of connection. Was it how a mate felt with her destined wolf? That is absurd. I whispered to myself and sat up again. Teddy! I had almost forgotten of a promise to call my son. I reached for my handphone and made a call to my little cute baby boy. He did not answer, as most likely he was already sleeping. I then recorded a short video with me singing a song for him to sleep, just in case he needed it in the future. After sending that video recording, I smiled to myself. I wondered how Nikolai would react if one day he found out I had given birth to his child. Would Nikolai love Teddy as much as I did? I did not know. I did not even know if I could find a space in my heart to trust another man easily again. Philip had taught me a lesson to not trust a man that easily, even after more than a decade of knowing him. I sighed and lay down on the bed. As I closed my eyes, a message came into my handphone. There was a special meeting called for all the contestants to meet at a company called Destiny the next day. I wondered what it was for. Ashley's POV. The next day, I woke up early with a good mood. I was smiling to myself, looking at my reflection in the mirror. Wearing another one of my gorgeous dress designs, it had accentuated my curves to look elegant and sexy. With a little spell, I put on colors to my face to make me look radiant and beautiful. Was it not good to be a witch? Well, I guessed it had its benefits as well. Hearing my son's voice in the morning had lifted my spirits to be in such a good mood. My little Teddy wished me luck and hoped to hear from me soon with good news. How lucky I was to have such strong support group. As I got into Gina's car, I sat down with a smile on my face. "You are looking weirdly happy today? Did you fuck someone last night?" She teased me while driving her Mercedes. I saw her winked playfully at me, thinking that I got laid last night. "No, I did not," I said while hiding my smile. "Almost got laid." My words got Gina opened her mouth and started to fan herself with her hand, as if she was hot for the news. "Who was it? Spill. Tell me more." I shook my head and tried my best to lie. "Nobody important. A casual chat and we kissed." Well, technically that was not a lie. "Just kiss? Come on, what are you? 10 years old? You got that excited for just a kiss? Woman, I'll get you a man soon. You need to learn how to let yourself lose." Gina laughed softly and continued driving. The rest of the journey to a building called Destiny was filled with Gina sharing her exciting encounter with a man that led her to his bed. She was beaming with happiness and hoped the man was going to call her again. Did not want to burst her moment of happiness. It was not the first time she had hoped much from a stranger she met for a one-night stand. I should know better, should I not? Nikolai did not even look for me after our sexual encounter 5 years ago. In fact, I was in the opinion that he did not even remember me. That douchebag. After Gina dropped me near the lobby of the tall building named Destiny, I walked confidently to register myself at the receptionist counter. I then entered the lift to where the meeting was going to be held. I was not alone. Some in the lift with me were those I knew were my competitors. One was a vampire who was looking at me at the corner of his eyes. He did not seem to like me much. What was that all about? Never met him in my life. I chose to ignore eyes staring at me. Was there something on my face? As we exited the lift, my eyes were scanning the modern-looking building with awe. I had never seen this building back then when I was still living in Averna. It was brand new and futuristic. I wondered who owned such structure. "Welcome to Destiny. Thank you for making your time to meet us here under a short notice." A woman wearing a pink dress suit greeted us. She was not human for sure. I guessed her to be a fairy. They were known to be smaller in size and always so cheerful, even when everyone was quite the opposite. But underneath that veil of kindness, they are creatures not to be messed with. A being that could alter reality into dreams, influencing the minds of those they thought were threats to them without you noticing it. Following the fairy to the meeting room, she introduced herself as the human resource personnel for a company called Sapphire Group. I sighed to that and knew at that moment Helen worked there. Of all the people I wanted to meet, Helen was not in that list. The fairy introduced each one of us seated at around the meeting table that could fit about 50 of the contestants. When the fairy introduced a representative from Sapphire Group, I was trying my best not to roll my eyes in front of everyone. There is no introduction needed for Miss Helen Ross, or should I say the future wife of the Crown Prince of Dracor. The fairy's words to introduce Helen was revolting to me. If only everyone knew what a deceiving and evil person Helen was. After a long introduction on Helen, that bitch stood from her seat thanking everyone that had clapped for her. Seriously, she got people cheering for her? Thank you so much. I am glad to be in this room with all the very talented designers that I am sure had put on their best effort in submitting their designs. I wish everyone the best of luck to be shortlisted today. Her eyes then moved to look at mine with a sweet smile that could light up the room. As for Miss Tiana Winters, I would like to take this opportunity to apologize on the misunderstanding that had happened last night at the masquerade party. It was all just a misunderstanding. I wanted to vomit my breakfast out hearing her lies. I could not believe there were those who adored her and clapped to her words. Could they not see Helen was a fraud? I kept quiet and refused to acknowledge her apology. It made the rest started to whisper among themselves. I was sure no kind words were meant for me. The meeting went on with the organizer of the competition giving a speech about how fortunate of us to be in the top 50, and soon some would be shortlisted to be the top 20 based on our designs submitted. I thought that was fast, wondered how they managed to review all designs in one night. For sure, Nikolai was busy romancing my body last night. I smiled to that thought. For some reason, I felt a little disappointed that he was not present for this meeting. Wondered where he could have been. The fairy moved to call out each of the designer's name, who was shortlisted to be the top 20. I waited patiently for my name to be called out. Helen's name was already called out, and she was beaming with her smile and received praises from others. And the last contestant who got into the next level goes to Miss Tiana Winters from Theo Group. A round of applause, please. As expected, I probably just heard 2 or 3 person who clapped for me. I did not care that not many was there to support me. Being shortlisted to the top 20 was a delightful news indeed. My son Teddy would be thrilled to hear my path to success. I could not wait to share the good news with him. As I walked to reach the fairy in receiving a bronze envelope, I saw Helen looking at me with a surprised look. It was indeed a good day for me. I could not wait to face Helen till the final rounds of the competition. Then, I received a message in my handphone. A news about the return of lost Princess Averna was sent by an anonymous number.